Welcome to Small Business Saturday.
Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Well, hello. Excuse me. Hello. Welcome into Small Business Saturdays on a Monday night. So those of you that had an opportunity to join me on Saturday morning, you might recognize some of the things we're going to talk about here. My goal here today is to talk about redefining our values and redefining our value, the value proposition that we bring to our customers, and then kind of showing how we can use that and what we want to do with it and what that all looks like. So we did this a little bit on Saturday, but it was good times. I just noticed that Fire Stick got updated. So let's get that. Since nobody's here quite yet, we'll play with this for a second and get this going and see if anybody's going to show up. All right. All right. So looks like some people are finally showing up here. So anyhow, like I said, my goal here tonight, again, I know this is a totally different time and all that other stuff, but I promised that I would do this together in a more coherent way since we were broken up by the poor internet on Saturday morning. So while you guys are showing up here, because again, new time, new place, I'm going to fix my video board behind me. So hang tight with me for 1 second. And if you're joining in on the room, just give us a hello. If you have not, does the closed caption have to be on? That is a phone/Facebook thing. I have no control over that. So you'll have to, and I don't know how to change it. I have not been able to change that on my side either when I've watched things on my phone. I guess as a business owner, I try to avoid doing as much as I can with a phone. The phone's just a emergency mechanism for me. So sorry, I don't have a great solution there for you. Also, the other opportunity here is to, let's get the banners up here. There we go. Of course, there it is, StreamYard.com/Facebook. And that will get you. Yeah, we won't go through that whole thing again. So, all right, let me do this while we're getting everybody in here real quick, and then we'll jump into redefining your value proposition is what we're talking about here tonight. So we have one cohesive opportunity to learn, and because you also want to go back and check out what we talked about on Saturday morning. Like I said, I'm going to hit most of the same topics, but there were some other comments and stuff like that. So it might be worth a watch over there as well. So I will link that in the comments after we're done here tonight. All right, let me get this fixed. If you guys remember from the live video training, the trick here is just Fire Stick, Amazon, and then a photos on Amazon, and we'll just do the slideshow. Much better. All right. Yeah. It only shows up randomly on my phone too. So I have not figured out what it is. I don't believe it's a setting. I have not changed anything on my settings on my side to point to that. So I guess I can take a look, but as far as I know, that's a Facebook thing. So I will have to do some checking on that, or you guys will have to do some checking on that. Sorry, let's go with that. I can't take on anything new right now. So, all right, you guys. So let's get into this. Real quick reminder for everybody from the training on the social media selling machine. Don't forget to take advantage of the opportunity to get a bunch of titles and content ideas. Just share by email the 5 things we needed. It should be in your follow-up email that you got about that training. So all the details are there. You can reply to that email, or you can just start a new email to success@oursuccessgroup.com. Let's put that up on the screen here. There we go. Success at oursuccessgroup.com. If you'll go ahead and send us those 5 things that we need, we'll plug those into a tool that Todd acquired for us. And he will then return the results from that. It gives you a whole long list of super ideas, great, just really good headlines, topic ideas, things like that. So that's available for you. It's not going away anytime soon, but I wanted you all to take advantage of it, right? It's there. So why let it just sit and not be of use to you? So take advantage of that. Again, send that over to success@oursuccessgroup.com. That's the only way we can do it. If you please just make sure that you send that email. I know for some reason we don't always like to send the emails, but in this case, that's the only way that we can do this. All right, perfect. So with that being said, let's dive in. Let me take that off of there. Let's dive into what we wanted to talk about here with redefining our values. And I think the first, and I keep saying values, and I apologize. What we're talking about here is redefining your value proposition to your customer, not our core values, not who we are. But I'm talking about redefining the value that you bring. And I think the first place we need to start by just defining what value means. And honestly, it's not a complex idea, but it's really hard to quantify, right? Really hard to put a number value on what value means. So I think that's why I know I have struggled with it. That's why I know a lot of people struggle with this whole concept of value. So the complexity of it's not that much. In fact, here's the base definition of value. And this is out of the dictionary. It is a noun, and it means the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something, its merit or utility. So again, not a super complex thing to do, but it's hard for us to pinpoint because we can't just put a number on it and say, okay, well, that is valued. I mean, we do that, but all of that has, we'll say this is worth this much. But, again, all of us have very different ideas of what is valuable, what we value things at. So, again, somebody might pay $300 for a plain white t-shirt, where as decorators, we'd never pay more than a couple bucks, I wouldn't think, right? I mean, we know that we can get blank white t-shirts on the cheap. So we value things differently. And then the other thing is our differences in how we look at something of value are actually also very slight too. So one person might value the latest and greatest tech and gadgets, and where somebody else might value the toys and the stuff and the recreation. And I bring that up because that's actually the difference between Todd and I. He wants jet skis, has a golf cart, also has had and will get awesome cars and fun stuff like that. I love my new car, and it's got lane assist. It's got a heads-up display. To me, it feels like a self-driving car. Now, again, we're not letting it be a self-driving car, but I could take my hands off the wheel while I'm paying attention, and it will steer me where I need to go when I have the cruise control on, and it will slow down for me and all this other kind of fun stuff. But honestly, I could care less about the recreational toys. And I'm not saying that because my way is better, or, or Todd's way is better, or whatever. What I'm saying is that they're just differences, right? Neither one's right, neither one's wrong. Some people might look at what I've got in a car and go, well, that's stupid. Why do you need all that? And some people might look at that and go, oh, that's great. I love it. Right. But neither of them makes one thing good or bad. It's just that we value things differently, and it's a slight difference. Right. So from a 30,000 foot view, our interest in a vehicle might seem the same, but at its core, we both value things very differently. So the other challenge we face as business owners is that the general public and our ideal customers' value might change. So for example, as the world has changed to this pandemic, many people are valuing experiences differently and have come around to the idea of more virtual interaction. It's not that the in-person stuff will go away, but we might not put as much value onto, hopping onto a plane and going somewhere with big crowds. And, see, these are just slight shifts. Again, not that the in-person stuff will go away. I think the fact that we haven't been able to do that will lead us to this idea that that in-person thing might be more valuable than before because it got taken away from us. But at the same time, we might also go, well, I can actually get this done. I know lots of businesses, for example, are taking a really hard look at all of these shows and things that they travel to. I think in our industry, if they go too far with that, it's going to hurt, because we do need to touch and feel the equipment and the things that we're using, and kind of see it in action and be able to, really get into it, so to speak, look under the hood. But again, they've also discovered that they can save all of the time and money going to these trade shows and still be able to generate business through the use of online tools and virtual and things like that. So that is the challenge. Value at the end of the day is what someone is willing to give or sacrifice to get the desired object. And honestly, there's even negative value when it comes to, what somebody would be willing to give or sacrifice to not have a certain thing, right? To not have to go to a certain place. You might be able to find that product at a place that you're not comfortable going to cheaper. And so you'll pay more money for it going to a store that you're more comfortable in. Right. And that, again, not to say anything one way or the other about a store, but as humans, we go to the easiest place we can go to, the thing that is most comfortable for us. So, how can we make sure that we're helping our customers to see what we do as value to them? And honestly, this is the job of the marketing that we do in our business. And it all starts with being able to tell a story. Yeah, I would wager, and I think I would feel pretty comfortable with my odds here, that you've never gone to a movie or read a book where they just tell you about the stuff and you read the specs of it, right? You go and so, like, equating this to, okay, I've got this many heads of embroidery, it's this exact machine, blah, 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 feature, and whatnot. We've not done that, right? We don't get sucked into a movie about the stuff or the specs. We choose books and movies that tell a story. They take us on a journey. We don't just go pick up the user's manual on something we don't own to read it for our leisure. So we need to stop telling our story as the tools we use to make the things. Again, how many heads of embroidery I have, I do sublimation, blah, blah, blah. We need to start telling our story as the value that we bring to our customers. So you create memories or connections or brand personal identities or promotional products. You don't make mugs or t-shirts or handbags or whatever it is that is your core product. That's just the physical piece of what it is, the value that you bring, right? You're creating memories or connections or branded personal identities, all those types of things. That's the value that you bring. It's not the mug or the t-shirt or the handbag. So your goal and your job is to continue to better understand your ideal customer so you can better understand what they value. What is your value to them? So we're all going to start out with a picture of our ideal customer. And then as we get to know them better and understand them more clearly, we'll be able to then better understand what they value. So, for example, if Todd and I both looked like your ideal customer and you sold vehicles, we'll go back to that story about that'd be just fine. But as you got to know us better, right? As you had conversations with us and tested marketing and put stuff out there, and you're going to get to know us better, and you'd realize that the story you tell me is going to be one of technology and utility. I want my car to get me from A to B with as little work on my part as possible. But maybe you change that story and tell Todd something more like, story of the fun in it, the community of like-minded folks that are involved with this vehicle, even the status that it could bring you, those types of stories. And again, neither one of those is right or wrong or better or best. It's just the difference between the two of us. So for decorators, you have to determine why do people or why should people buy from you. It has nothing to do with the cost and everything to do with the value that you bring. And for many of us, it might be the experience of working with us, the experience of working with you, right? That might be the difference in value between you and the person up the street or the online tool or whatever. Many people compete with Amazon all day long and do just fine for themselves because they have a different experience. They bring a different value to the table. So that could be our value. It could be that working with us. It could be the services that you bring to the table. I would think that if you're pretty into designing, you're passionate about it, and you're doing all that stuff, that should be your story. It's that creation. It's that ability to take an idea and turn it into a tangible product and just making it something that people are proud to wear, something that people are proud to have, people are proud to show off, that kind of thing, right? So it could be those services. It could be your shared interest in the niche, right? If we're all, everybody that is my ideal customer is somebody that's, for me, it's the volleyball world. So if everybody that is my ideal customer is in the volleyball world, I'm going to tell the story about the volleyball, not the utility of the clothes, but the uniform or whatever. I'm going to tell the story of the volleyball and then what having, matching socks can do for a team's mental state, that kind of thing. That's the kind of story I want to tell. I'm actually going to, when we talk about the niche, I want to use one of our Masters of Success members as an example, Missy, and I'm not sure if she's watching this one or not, but she was part of the school system in her area for years. So she understands that unique nuance that the schools have to deal with. She speaks their language. She knows how to solve their problems and truly cares about their well-being. And so that is her value, right? That's what makes her different from just whoever's showing up to give you the cheapest quote. Very rarely do people go on the cheapest quote. And if you find that you are dealing with people that are just looking for the cheapest quote, you need to look internally and understand what your message is that's attracting those folks. Because if people just need the cheapest quote, then that might not be the right business for you. If you want to get into the I'm the cheapest person area, you better have your stuff together, every nickel accounted for, super tight, know what's good and bad, have really good policies so there's no opportunity to have a gotcha, all this other stuff. So for most of us, that's not the case. And in fact, for most of us, we're not interested in that anyways, right? I'm not interested in it just being about price, because if I was, I would get into something like selling a commodity. And what we do as decorators has nothing to do with that. There is value in us. So what value do you bring to your ideal customers? And let's start sharing. And then we can all use this as a kind of a brainstorm opportunity. Again, I'm not sure if anybody's tuned in right now due to this different time frame, but if you guys want to do that, let's start sharing. And then lastly, once you're able to drill down to the story that better speaks to your ideal customer, you also must be communicating with them to understand when their values are changing. Back to the idea of selling trips or experiences, maybe the thought of a huge crowd and confined spaces is really no longer of interest to your ideal customers. And instead, they've had a slight shift in what they value. And now they're valuing safety, more wide open spaces, and more intimate family and friend experiences. For decorators, people stopped valuing the quick and easy uniform ordering, and began valuing the fundraising support, the signage, the PPE, personal protective equipment, and the masks. But my feeling is here in the United States, at least, we're going to experience another shift in what we value. Um, even today, masks are harder and harder to sell. Not saying that people aren't doing it. I think there's still plenty of market left for that, but it takes a little bit more work than when they were just flying off the shelves as fast as you could make them, in about a year ago or so. But things like rebranding, celebrating making it through the pandemic, and kind of getting back out to the community, and saying thanks to the people that supported them throughout the pandemic, that kind of thing. I mean, these are all things that people are going to start valuing. So you need to start changing how you define your value, redefine your value, right? We need to start changing that to be telling that story instead. How do we help support you as you make that celebration of, hey, we're still here, we appreciate everybody, let's, new swag, new signage, new, whatever it is that's important to your core customers. But we need to start understanding that. And honestly, this is a process that's not just important now as we're 13 months into the pandemic and hopefully looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. This is something that happens all of the time, right? It may not be as drastic and as quick as what happened 13 months ago. But these shifts in what your core customers value do happen all the time. So this is something that we want to consider, and we want to constantly be redefining our values. Now, this doesn't mean that each day, you have to spend hours and hours working on it. That this means that each day you want to take as many actions, you want to have as many conversations, you want to talk to as many customers, and we want to do that each day, and then use the results of those actions, those conversations, and use those as a course correction, right? If I've been putting ads out there that are working for mass, and now all of a sudden it's really not quite working as well, does that mean I need to stop? Not necessarily. Does it mean I need to change the message a little bit? Probably. Does it mean that I need to keep my eyes open and be aware and start asking more and asking for feedback? That's the kind of thing that we need to be doing. The other part of this is, as we're telling this story, you're going to feel it, right? Your gut's going to tell you, does this resonate? Now, some of us might not realize that, but it is telling you that. You might not just, you maybe haven't listened to it enough to really have that trust in it. But if I look at it this way, if I can go and have, whatever message I'm sharing in my marketing, can I go and have that conversation with somebody face to face, not virtually, directly face to face, that I know and respect, right? Can I have that conversation? Does that feel good, right? Do I feel like I'm providing value, right? So your story is what shares what value you provide. And therefore, if that feels like you're providing value, then you're going to naturally be more drawn to that particular story. So listen for what your gut, so to speak, is telling you, your intuition, whatever it is that you call it. And again, also be very aware of the golden opportunity to have the conversations with the customers, or have conversations with potential customers, and just be a really good listener, and be listening from the perspective of, okay, what is it that they value, right? They're telling me this, but and that might be the specific thing that they're telling me, but what does that mean, right? How does that kind of come through? What does that tell me about what they value? And then talking with other OSG squad members and kind of asking them what's new and good, and finally just kind of realizing at the end internally that we all have a unique value, and we bring that to the table whether we realize it or not. And the worst thing that we can do for our business is not value what we do, because if we don't value what we do by being able to charge the prices we need to price, by being able to feel really comfortable going out and talking about it anywhere and everywhere, that kind of thing. If we don't value what we do, then our potential customers aren't going to either. So you got to stick to your guns on the pricing, and you got to make sure that you feel comfortable really sharing this. And even if that's not who you are, everybody, no matter what kind of personality you are, is comfortable sharing something. Now, I guess everybody's a pretty broad statement, but 99.9% of us are comfortable sharing something. And therefore, we need to find what that is and figure out a way to incorporate that into our business. That doesn't mean that we have to do that exact thing that we're comfortable telling people about. What we need to do is we need to figure out how to incorporate that. How do we make that part of our story, right? Part of the message. So turn up the volume on your story, share it as much as you can to be able to get enough feedback to understand, is it resonating with them? Does it feel good for me? And then take it from there. So that's what I've got, a much more clear and succinct version in less than 30 minutes here than what we were able to do on Saturday with all the chunkiness of it. And we'll try to put this together into a better podcast version here that'll come out in a few month or so. And then you'll have all that together as well. But let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So we've got that. All right. Anything else that you guys have for me? I definitely, like I said, just wanted to do this in a more quick, clear, and concise manner and make sure that I got all of that information that I wanted to share about redefining your value, not redefining your core values, your personal values, whatever. What I'm talking about today was redefining your value proposition. What is the value that you bring to your customers? So I hope that we were able to cover that. I appreciate your guys' time. Again, sorry for all the challenges on Saturday morning with the internet connection. But between the quick start that we had, able to go over to my phone and do some more there, and then what we did here, hopefully we've covered this topic pretty well. If you guys have any questions, certainly reach out to me at any point. Post comments on this video, post comments on the other video, whatever works for you. Appreciate your guys' time, and I will talk to everybody again real soon. Thanks.